Hey everyone, welcome to our show Timeout. I'm your host Trey Avant with my co-host, my brother Noah Avant, and this is a two-man webcast that discusses sports and entertainment. Before we begin, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune on all social media platforms. Just look for Boca Tribune on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also follow the show on Instagram at the_timeout7. Huddle up, it's time for a timeout.
So before we start, shout out to Cut Ties. It's a brand, black-owned brand, come out of Greensboro, North Carolina. My homeboy Maurice Perry, MP, the CEO of Cut Ties. If you follow trends, you can't follow us. So shout out to those guys. But let's dive into some basketball. Trey, my boy Kyrie Irving this week. He dropped 37. He had a lot of stuff, but he did drop 37 the other day in his debut. Unfortunately, despite his 37 points and shooting 15 for 28, they lost in double overtime to the Cavaliers. The 7-7 Cleveland Cavaliers. Colin Sexton put 42. 42. It's reversed. So 42 on their dome. Trey, what's your thoughts on that game, man? Should the Nets truly be worried?
I don't think they should be worried. It's just the first game, all three of them playing together. They never played together before. It's gonna happen. And they didn't have an off season. They just got put together. And Kyrie came back from, his issues that he was having. So, and the Cavaliers are not bad. They're 7-7. That's 500 basketball. They're not a bad team. Clearly, I mean, they didn't have. I don't think Kevin Love played. Darius Garland didn't play. So Colin Sexton's pretty much the only person out there really hooping. And I mean, he proved that he was a dog. I mean, I've been a Colin Sexton fan since he was in high school.
Okay, but Trey, as great as Colin Sexton is, because I tweeted John Morant earlier today, and I said, well, he went to a football school and he was a top 10 pick in the draft. Yeah, he had to be a problem. But y'all get beat by Colin Sexton with 3 superstars?
I mean, yeah, it's still their first game. I mean, the Heat lost games, and they were the big three. I mean, the Warriors lost games. They lose games. It's gonna happen. They didn't play up to par. It happens. They're not gonna play 100% every game. And like I said, and like I said before, this is their first game together.
Yeah, but I'm not. Even if y'all are paying 75%, that 75% should be more than enough to beat the Cavaliers. And I mean that with all due respect to the Cavaliers. They do have some players, but with all due respect, they should be beating those guys.
But to be fair, it's not like the Cavaliers blew them out. They went in double overtime, and Colin Sexton was unstoppable. I mean, the Cavaliers is playing good. Not Cavaliers. The Nets was playing good defense. Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I seen Colin Sexton make 2 crazy shots with hands all up in his face. There's nothing you can do about that.
I guess when you're on, you're on. But at either rate, they win. I don't know when the next game is, but it's something to really think about. Stephen A talked about it today. How he didn't like that Kyrie Irving took the most shots out of everybody else yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's.
I mean, it's probably not gonna be like that every game.
But at either rate, you have 3 guys on your team. This double OT is a sign. Like, you don't lose double OT with James Harden or KD.
Did James Harden even play that good?
He had a triple-double.
Oh, he did? I didn't even
look at it. With 21 points. He had 21 points.
Oh, really? I didn't really look at the stats. So, kind of uninformed. Let me see. James Harden. Yeah, he played pretty good. Cool. Okay. They all play good. I mean, the big 3 play good. It's just,
You don't lose to the Nets. I mean, the Cavs. That's not what you do.
Colin Sexton played great. Osman played great.
You don't lose to the. It was just Colin Sexton. It'd been different if Darius Garland played and he beat him.
I mean, Cedi Osman dropped 25 points. So
that's it.
What do you mean that's it? That's
But
25
bro,
points.
look at what you're saying. Osman, you're telling me Sadie Osman's enough to beat three superstars, three all-stars?
That's
No.
I mean I didn't hold on now. Hold on now. I didn't say it was just him. Obviously, Colin Sexton dropped 42 points. I'm just saying Colin Sexton
So,
had help.
man, I'm not hearing that. I don't care
Bro,
if
what
he
do you
would have
mean?
had.
The facts is there. You can't deny he dropped 25 points.
Okay, I get that. That's cool. I'm not denying none of the facts.
You
I
can't.
clearly,
Are you trying to say 25 points cannot help you win a game?
I'm saying you don't look. This is where James Harden steps up. This is where he's like, this is why I'm worth. This is why I was worth the trade.
It's
This is
game
why I'm worth you.
one.
This is why I'm worth you trading your future away.
It's game one.
You step up. I don't care if it was game 5. You step up in these situations as a superstar.
They don't know each other.
Trey, you're making excuses for them. This
It's
is when you
game
say.
one.
This is when you say, "I'm gonna go out here. We're gonna get these buckets. We're not losing to the Cavaliers on the first game. We're not doing that." James Harden and KD in their first game had 30 plus points. They didn't lose.
Okay.
They lose.
They didn't lose. It is
Man,
what
I'm
it
not
is.
hearing that. I'm not hearing that. Listen, if this next
They
team does
not
not
going.
get their chemistry together,
They not going to win every game.
Trey, I'm not saying they should win every game, but they don't need to drop one to the Cavaliers. Yeah,
So
the Cavaliers.
you
The
saying
Cavaliers are
you saying
500.
good teams don't lose to bad teams?
They should not. I'm saying they should not lose to bad teams. That's what I'm saying.
So
So wait.
good teams should never ever lose to bad teams.
Not in double overtime. You got two. You had
It's
two extra
double
points to
overtime.
make
It's
it
two,
work.
bro. They're playing just as hard as the Nets.
Man, and you know it's crazy. Them working just as hard as good as three all stars.
I mean, clearly they won the game.
Man, no, bro. Man, no. I'm not hearing that. That's called excuses. I don't know those. Like that's weak. You got three all stars,
And
bro.
are you saying it like the Cavaliers not a good team? They 7-7.
Trey.
It's because
I'm not
you
I'm
think
not
about the Cavaliers of the past, man. The Cavaliers are
I'm
pretty
thinking about the
decent.
Cavaliers of today. And those
No,
guys
bro.
should not beat the Nets. I don't care how you slice it up. They should not be good enough to beat
They
the
have the
Nets,
same
bro.
amount of losses. The Nets have 7 losses, and the Cavaliers have 7 losses. They're right
But
behind each other.
the Nets have James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant.
But they still have 7 losses. So what's your point?
Okay,
The
bro.
same amount of losses as the Cavaliers.
You making it? You're trying to make this case like, oh yeah, it's okay that they lost. No,
It's okay. It is okay
heck
that they lost.
no,
The season just started like 3 weeks
man,
ago.
no. I guess. Okay, so answer me this, Trey. If we get to March, not March, next month, and they're still losing games like this, what are you saying?
Then I mean, there might be a little bit of a problem, but
Oh, okay, all right.
that's
Okay.
time has progressed. This is game one of them all being together.
All right, we're gonna see. We will see. Our viewers at home, we will see.
The big three heat started off what 10 like 11-10,
Yeah, but you're not. Yeah,
and then went on a fat win
well,
streak.
they went to the finals. This next team is not going to make the finals. That's the difference.
You don't know that.
We will see. I ain't going to make this a hot take. I'm telling you guys, the viewers at home, everybody watching this, the Nets are going to choke in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's not a hot take. That's facts, and that's all it is to it. That's
That's
all
not
I got to say
facts
about it.
because that's not facts. That is a
That's
hot take.
that's church. That's facts. That's
Okay, I don't. You can't say that you don't have the ability to look into the future. But I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you have ability. You're not telling us because you're not allowed to tell us that you have superpowers. I don't know. Maybe you got it
who
on the
knows.
21st. I don't know.
Right, who knows? Right? Who knows? The 21st was an interesting day. I got my powers. I
But
walked
speaking,
outside that day with
but
with a book on my head.
speaking of the Cavaliers, apparently they want to get rid of their young cornerstone pieces, Kevin Porter Jr. He had a solid rookie year, you know, but this offseason he's had some problems, with the law that we discussed last week a little bit, but Noah said it's no big deal, you
It's
know.
no big deal. It's come on, man. It's not he OJ Mayo.
I mean, I don't
It's
know.
not he PJ Harrison.
they haven't. Yeah, what's going on with PJ Harrison? I didn't know that was. I didn't know PJ Harrison had some issues going on.
Yeah, he had a couple legal issues back in the day. You know what I'm saying? He'd be all right. He tough.
Yeah, but, Kevin Porter having some legal issues. With some gun issues, some drug issues. I think he had an issue with his girlfriend. He's suffering from mental health issues as well. He has a lot of stuff going on in his life right now. He finally came back to the team, and the Cavaliers had just traded for Taurean Prince. They gave Kevin Porter's locker to Taurean Prince while Kevin Porter was away. Kevin Porter came back, seeing his locker was not there, and he threw a tantrum. And now the Cavaliers are looking to trade him or release him. What are your thoughts on that issue?
I don't blame him. That's disrespectful. That's so disrespectful. Let me move. Trey, how do you feel about this? Like,
I mean,
you,
it
because
depends
I
on what
mean,
it depends on what was said. Like
yeah,
with the team, the communication between him and the team, or whether there was communication or not communication, because it is kind of disrespectful. He was on a team before Taurean Prince. That's his locker. He's been had that locker. He walks in, he expects to go to that locker. If he sees that his locker was moved or is no longer available, he's gonna be like, "Why did you move my stuff?" I understand that, but we don't know the inner workings of what happened. We don't know if they talked to him beforehand. We don't know what happened.
clearly they did not speak to him because otherwise he wouldn't have reacted like this.
That's true, but we don't. But like I said, Kevin Porter has some issues going on. I don't know. Maybe maybe he was like he was okay with it, and then when he seen it, he was like, "I'm not okay with this." I don't know.
I don't.
People could change their mind.
I don't think it's going to the point where he's throwing stuff at the teammates and whoever else is in the locker room.
I don't.
Come
We
on
don't.
now.
We don't know him as a person. We don't know what he's capable of.
Come on now. Come on now. That doesn't even make sense. That's not logical.
I
Like
mean,
at some point, people have got to understand these guys are people too. And it kind of goes back to like what Kyrie was saying. There was a reporter 2 years ago that soundbite surfaced and saying, "Oh yeah," when Kyrie said we're not property, and she said, "Yeah, you are." What? You know what I'm saying? Like these guys at the end of the day, these guys are human beings. These guys have emotions. These guys have feelings. You don't just up and move somebody's stuff. I don't care if they, and especially for a guy you just traded for, and let's be honest, isn't as good as him offensively. Like that's disrespectful. I would have took offense to that, definitely. And whatever team gets him, I know he's going to hoop for them because they're already trying to make this guy seem like the bad guy. They're trying. They're
they
already,
got. The team's got to see if his head is on straight because he has some issues. So, but if he's able because he has some issues in college as well.
yeah, he
And in high
did.
school, that's the reason he fell like so far, almost into the second round. Because while he was supremely talented, he
Yeah,
had some issues off the court. You know,
but I also feel like that goes back to the veteran leadership in the locker room.
you think he'd be better if he went to like a team like the Heat or the Spurs?
Yeah, I feel like a team like San Antonio would be perfect.
Yeah, like
Where
the
you have
Heat, Spurs, or like Golden State, one of those teams with strong leadership.
Yeah, I'm leaning more so towards the Spurs. More so, well, it'd be nice to see him in Miami. I'm not going to talk down on our leadership that we have down there with UD, Jimmy, and Spo. Really, that whole organization, the culture we have in Miami is second to none. But I feel like a team like San Antonio would probably be best fit for them because he's young. He'll go. I feel like he'll be a good matchup with what's his name, Murray. I feel like he'll be a good matchup to go side by side with him, especially since they may or may not move on from DeMar DeRozan. So that could be something for them to look into.
Yeah, yeah. But moving on, Trey Young is not having that great of a season. He's averaging like 23 points a game. Let me see the Hawks record. The Hawks started off hot, but they've lost several games in a row. Their record right now, they're 7-7. Same as the Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
But they lost like 4 games in a row at one point, and he's only shooting 38% from the field, like 29% from three. And John Collins is a little frustrated with Trey Young. He's like, he pretty much was like, hey, you got to pass the ball around because once Trey Young decides he's going to score,
He's gonna score. He's not passing.
he's not passing. Even though he's one of the league's top facilitators, he's averaging like 9 assists a game. He's one of the league's top facilitators. But I read this article recently talking about Trey Young, and they said Trey Young is an average shooter who thinks he's Stephen Curry. And when you think about it, I mean, it's kind of true. They're pulling up the stats from him in college and in the NBA. He's never been that great of a three-point shooter, mainly because he takes a lot of them. So it kind of brings his percentage down, and he's the best player. So, I mean, a lot of defensive attention. But I believe last season, he only shot like 36% from three, which is like slightly above average. And for his career, he shoots like 32% from three,
Yeah,
which is like slightly below average. So what are your thoughts on Trey Young and his situation?
I mean, when you live by the three, you're gonna die by the three. I mean, there's no other way you could really say it. I mean, like when you're a young guard like Trey Young, and that's really the majority of your game is your jump shot. You got to learn. Sometimes you got to pass that rock. You might be averaging 9 assists, but if your teammates are saying like, "Yo, you need to move the ball more," maybe he doesn't need to average the 23 or shoot as many shots that he's shooting. Maybe he needs to pass the ball instead of him shooting as many shots as he takes. Maybe he's very much capable of averaging 12 assists a game. If you take away 3 possessions where you're not shooting the ball, you're really just passing it. That can be more assists for you. And John Collins, for him to be voicing his frustrations, with his teammate, it obviously has to mean something in the locker room is a disconnect. Either the coaching staff is just encouraging him to shoot more and telling him, hey, look, don't worry about passing the ball that much. Like, whatever it is that's going on, it needs to be fixed. It needs to be amended quick. Because the Atlanta Hawks team has a lot of potential there. But they have to do something about it. They gotta keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that Trey Young is their best player. It's pretty clear. He averaged 29 points a game last year. He's clearly their best player. But I agree with you. He needs to be more of a facilitator because he takes a lot of bad shots. But that's because he kind of has to, you know.
No, he
But
doesn't.
he thinks because he thinks like the article said he thinks he's Stephen Curry. He thinks he's Damian Lillard. I see they showed this one play where they were losing, right? And he came down. He got the rebound. He came down the court, right? And it was a 2-on-1 situation. And instead of waiting for a teammate to come, so he has more of an advantage, he just pulled up from three. Now, clearly he can make that type of shot because he's done it before. He has that ability, but you're not supposed to take that. That's a dumb shot to take if you're not Stephen Curry or Damian Lillard or Kevin Durant or whatever, Kyrie, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree 100%. But at the end of the day, it goes back into IQ.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's a young player. He's still learning
He's
the
gonna.
game.
I'm not ready to. I'm not saying. I'm not gonna say Trey Young is a bad player, and for them to say he's an average shooter is borderline disrespectful because he really has a rat ball. But it's more in the sense of developing his game a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's year 5, year 6, and he's draining these. That article's gonna look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's gonna be a much more consistent shooter in the future, and he's gonna be a lot better at attacking the rim. When he gets as he gets older, he's gonna get bigger and stronger. He's gonna get better at attacking the rim as well. Because he's already getting better at drawing. He leads the league in drawing fouls.
He's a great basketball player.
He's a
He's
great
gonna be good.
player, great passer, but he still needs to develop some more.
Oh, yeah.
But moving on, let's talk about our team, man. The Heat. We've won 2 in a row.
COVID. It's crazy because we won 2 with COVID. That's
And
Bam finally.
guess who's been balling, bro?
Bam. Kendrick.
Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn's been balling.
I need to see more. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not worried. I'm not even worried about Kendrick Nunn in the regular season because last the regular season he was great. I need to see him in the playoffs. How he's playing in March. Then we can talk.
Well, he's not going to be on their team in the playoffs. He's going to be traded. He's going to
Well,
be somewhere else.
we don't know that. We got to work on what we know right now because March could come. He could be in Houston. March could come. He could still be here, and he's playing beside Victor Oladipo. Like we don't know what Miami's gonna necessarily do to trade to get him down there or to get Victor up here, or even if we're gonna get Victor, we might be trying to get Brad Beal still. There's a lot of reports saying that the interest in Brad Beal is still very high. We don't know what the team's gonna look like in close to the trade deadline, but as of right now, and given the pieces we have, I need to see Kendrick Nunn do this in March. I need to see him do this in April. And if we do make it to the opportunity to have a rematch with the Lakers, we need to see it in May.
Mm-hmm.
So regular season Kendrick, hey, cool. You could drop your 26 and 5. That's cute. Drop your little points. Now, what are you gonna do in the postseason? If Kendrick Nunn was listening to this right now, Kendrick, you're a great basketball player, phenomenal basketball player. But I need to see you do this in the postseason. Miami needs to see you do this in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is to it. Bam's finally starting to play like he's one of the best big men in the league. Thank God. Because I don't know why he's not taking more shots. As great as Bam is at facilitating, leave that to the guards. I want you to get 25 and 10, 25 and 15, because he is such a good big man. And for him to be undersized at the 5, man, he plays so good.
That was one of my issues with him. When we drafted him and stuff, I was like, man, we need more size. We need more shooting because we had Hassan. He's 7 feet tall. He got he got the size. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we moved on him from Hassan, and I was like, so he just lost a lot of rebounding and shot blocking. And I was like, Bam's what 6'9"? I was like, how is he gonna replicate? How is he gonna replicate that? Rebounding, he hasn't replicated the same rebounding as Hassan did, but shot blocking has been about the same. He's been better, obviously defending the perimeter. He's been more versatile player. He's just been a better fit for this Heat team.
But let's start with this. Bam is 6'10". He's not 6'9". Let's
Well, he's
start
six
there.
nine. He's actually 6'9" without shoes. When they did the little
He's
measuring
6'10".
stuff, he's 6'10", like with shoes, but without shoes, he's 6'9".
So he's running around the court barefooted, Trey?
He's not, but I'm just saying, like, it's real
Okay,
height.
so he's 6'10". Okay, so he's 6'10". Mr. Technical.
I'm just being technical that his real height is 6'9".
Anyway, I feel like we do need a trade for Andre Drummond, like I said, or JaVale McGee, because long term, when we are in the postseason and we are seeing the Bucks or the Nets or the Sixers or even the Lakers, our size will be the reason that will hinder us. If Bam,
Clearly not against the Bucks.
well, yeah, clearly not against the Bucks, but we play against the Nets, this might be a problem. When we play against the Lakers, that was a problem. So we can get a guy like JaVale, maybe get into that big man sweepstakes that they have going on in Cleveland, and maybe even pull Kevin Porter to Miami with that trade. That right there can help us out, And then in addition, still try to get Victor Oladipo. That I really feel like that's going to be more likely our guy that we do trade for. But if we can get Brad Beal for a decent price, I wouldn't necessarily be mad.
I wouldn't be mad either. But moving on, we're cutting to commercial. You're watching Timeout with the Avant Bros. If you enjoy the show, please click the share button with all your friends to share the stream. Also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune on all social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for @Boca Tribune. You can also follow the show on Instagram at @the_timeout7. See you soon.
Information. If it exists in writing, we print it. If it exists online, we update it. If it exists on mobile, we notify. If it exists in video, we show it. If it exists in audio, we play it. In the past, the news had to wait for a paper to print for it to happen. Today, news happens in real time. It's analyzed, edited, and published immediately by us, your neighbors, and of course, you. Wherever you are, you write, edit, give opinions, share photos, and make the news happen. This is why a paper needs to be on print, on screen, and on your phone. Wherever you are, your news has its pulse in the community. The Boca Raton Tribune. We are much more than just a newspaper. We are your closest neighbor.
Welcome back, everyone, onto the NFL. Green Bay and Tampa Bay will face off in the NFC Championship after Green Bay defeated the Rams and Tampa Bay defeated New Orleans. And Buffalo and Kansas City will face off in the AFC Championship game after Kansas City beat Cleveland and Buffalo beat Baltimore. Who you got?
Well, I got, of course, the GOAT himself, Mr. Brady, coming out of the NFC. I think I do feel like the Buccaneers overall have the team to beat Green Bay. Now, with that being said, I am not saying that they were going to run over these guys. This is going to be a game that will really come down to the defense. You know, which defense is going to hold up. And unfortunately, when Tom Brady hits this number right here, you know, right before he gets on the field, whatever he does, that's like his game breaker. You know, his badge is on. So, you know, I don't really know much to tell you. But the AFC, it's pretty much clear cut. You know, unless that Buffalo defense can really get to Pat Mahomes and ruffle him up like the Browns did, it's not gonna look good for them. It's really not. But I will say this: if they can ruffle him up and they do end up sitting him down because he is coming off of concussion protocol and he was limping off that off of he was living on I believe his right foot, right toe, big toe injury. Look like, you know, anything is possible, but not in this case. I don't think that he is enough to beat the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills will be in the Super Bowl if they can get Pat Mahomes to take a seat.
But okay, you said if they're able to get to Patrick Mahomes, right?
Absolutely.
So is it a guarantee? Like with their defense, like do you think they can get to Patrick Mahomes? Like who you think is winning that game? Like straight up gut feeling, who
The
you think is
Chiefs.
winning the game? The Chiefs, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
I cannot be blind to the fact that this is the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I'm saying? People rise to the occasion. The Bills D line could be like, you know what? Well, he's injured back there. He's not 100%. We get back there, we rough him up a couple of times. You know, he could be throwing ducks out there. You know, Tre'Davious White could be having a field day in the outfield. You know, so it could go either way if that's the case. But more than likely, that Chiefs offensive line is going to hold their weight. You know, they're going to make sure that they can protect little brother back there. And it's going to be a Chiefs W. We'll be seeing them in the Super Bowl again.
With me, I believe I agree with you. Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl for the second straight year. But I disagree with you with the NFC Championship. I believe Green Bay will beat Tampa Bay. It'll be a close game. It'll be a very close game. But Aaron Rodgers has been playing out of his mind. Like he's been playing ridiculously. Like he might win MVP. That's how great he's been playing.
Can't deny that.
And you know, Devontae Adams, he's on the road too. He's been playing like the best receiver in the league. He went up against the best corner in the league, and I mean, he didn't torch him. You know, he had 66 yards, but that's the most yards any receiver got on Jalen Ramsey this whole season. You know, so and 66 yards is still, you know, it's pretty good. You know, for a receiver, and it's not bad. You know, so And he has other weapons like Aaron Jones and other receivers out there, like Alan Lazard. Aaron Rodgers has good pieces. Defense is solid. Not as good as Tampa Bay's defense, but defense is solid. But yeah, I mean, I just think that Aaron Rodgers being who he is, I think he has the ability to beat Tampa Bay. Now, Tom Brady, he is who he is too. Tom Brady's a bad man. But
I must say, hey, look, like I said, last possession. And I really hope he doesn't have a Kobe moment where he looks to the sideline and say, y'all gave me too much time. Because you don't want to give Tom Brady too much time on that last drive. Because he's going to hurt your feelings. The quote him and the little soundbite for Drew Brees and him, the little promo video or whatever, it's not a blitz or a defense I haven't already seen. Like, it's the reason why when you play Madden, when you use Tom Brady, you can see the whole defense. You know the whole play somebody's running. Because that's a tough man to beat. And he has something to prove this year. I think a lot of people, with everything that's going on, they forgot the narrative that he has to prove a point that it was me winning those rings.
Honestly, I think he's already proved it.
No, you don't prove it unless you get the jewelry.
I don't think he needs it.
He doesn't need it.
I mean, look at it. I mean, they're in the NFC Championship, and the Patriots are at the crib.
I get that. But at the end of the day, nothing proves your point better than the exclamation point. And that exclamation point is VVS diamonds or whatever the heck type of diamonds that's in those Super Bowl rings. And he can have it like this. He's sitting up there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can't beat this. He manages to get this stamped.
And he's not gonna retire. He's not gonna retire anytime soon. But speaking of retirement, the guy who he beat, the guy who he goes neck and neck with every game for the passing yards and passing touchdowns record, Drew Brees retired. I mean, he had a bad game. That last game was just terrible. Jameis Winston played better on one pass than Drew Brees played the whole game.
Right. His QBR is better off one pass. That's crazy.
It was ridiculous. But Drew Brees is retired. And so did Phillip Rivers. He retired as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those two legendary quarterbacks retiring?
I mean, the Phillip Rivers one, I had heard about it, but I just couldn't believe it. It just came out of center. It just came out of left field, like inauguration day, and then Phillip Rivers retired. What? I mean, Drew Brees retiring is kind of bittersweet because he is such a good quarterback, but to see him go out the way he did, truly a head scratcher. I mean, I think he had 3 picks, 4 picks?
3 picks.
3 picks. Like, that's terrible. And they did say Michael Thomas was playing through an injury. That's also something to think about. Your receiver's not playing at 100%. But 3 interceptions. And I mean, I can't just blame Drew. Jared Cook, he fumbled. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing a team like the Buccaneers, when you have a defense that's stacked, you have an offense with a veteran, in the fourth quarter, you cannot have mental lapses. And that just showed in every single possession that they had in that last fourth quarter. In the last 5 minutes, you see what mental lapses do to a team in the playoffs.
I mean, Drew Brees didn't officially retire, but he said he's going to take some time to think about it, but he's pretty much retired. Like Michael Thomas said he only played through injury because he knew this could be Drew Brees' last season. And Drew Brees was seen on the sideline talking to Jameis Winston saying, "This is your team now."
I mean, I don't
he's not going to say that. He's not going to say it to him. He's going to come back.
He might have a change of heart. He might hear the timeout. It's like, you know what? These 2 guys here, they're counting me out. We're going back at it, boys.
He wouldn't be coming back with the Saints probably.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, it looked like Jameis Winston already got it wrapped up.
Yeah, and what's his name? I think they're firing Sean Payton, aren't they?
Oh, nah.
Okay, one of the coaches is gone. Their OC, one of the two.
I think it was their OC.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah, it's not it's definitely not Sean Payton.
I hope not. He's a great quarterback. I must have read that. I was hoping I read that headline wrong.
But
But
speaking of coaches, Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, top head coach candidate, still hasn't gotten a job. No black, well, actually, yeah, no black head coaching candidates have been hired this offseason as of yet. What are your thoughts on it? Because he got an interview with every team that needed a head coach, and no one has hired him. Maybe he just interviews bad. I don't know, but I doubt that's the reason. You know, the only team left that has a head coaching because the Eagles just hired a head coach. So the only team that has a head coaching opening is the Texans, and the Texans didn't even want the enemy. They only interviewed him because Sean Watson wants him.
I can see that might be a reason why they keep him. The Texans really don't have the room to say, well, we're not going to hire this guy. If the enemy is what Watson wants, keep Watson, that's what they're going to get. It's not up to them. This is what Watson wants. Because in this case, it's either you get Watson what he wants or he's walking out that door. And even Shefty even said today, like, looking like he took his last snaps in Houston this season. So, like, Watson really had him at gunpoint. It's like, do what I say or I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the hot takes. But before we get to the hot takes, the inauguration was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Trey, how did you feel about it?
It was long.
Yeah, it was very long. I was watching it at work. My thing about it is,
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was good. It was good though, even though it was long. It was very good to see Joe Biden get his opportunity to be the president of the United States. Kamala Harris looking nice. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama looking nice. All the former presidents and first ladies were looking good. Performances were nice. Joe Biden, like he said on Twitter, and he said he immediately got to work. Signed, I believe, 10 executive orders that reversed Trump's orders. So, I mean, he's doing pretty good so far.
It was good to see it, in my opinion, as an HBCU student and a couple months in HBCU grad from the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, otherwise known as North Carolina A&T. It was great to see. A lot of people say, HBCUs don't prepare you for the world. They like to talk down on a lot of HBCUs, but clearly it does a pretty good job because we have a VP now. And I shout out to Kamala. I really hope they go out there and do everything they promised the people. That's my main thing. Even though you probably can't do everything, do the majority. And that's a big thing. Because America, we had a long 4 years with somebody who was lying. I really feel like America has been in a toxic relationship for like the last 4 years. So we just finally got out of one. Here we go getting into another one. Hey, look, don't get me started on that one. I'm just talking about with Trump. We don't want to look. If we want to talk about the last 400 years, we need a whole segment for that. But we don't want to have a whole 3-hour episode of that. But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting. And these 4 years do not, like you said, like you kind of hinted at, these 4 years don't take away from the last X amount of 100 years. But this can be a turning point, I believe. Or I hope.
I agree with you.
That's a hot take.
It's about that time, folks. That is a hot take, but we're going to get into some even hotter takes right now with my hot take.
Absolutely.
I believe the Houston Texans will trade Deshaun Watson for the 3rd pick in Tua Tagovailoa. Eric Bieniemy, if he gets offered the job by the Texans, I don't believe he'll take it because I feel like he'll be kind of like upset. They didn't want him in the first place, and the only reason they want him now is because they're trying to keep Deshaun. So it's like you don't want me for me, you want me because of Deshaun. So now, what if Bieniemy gets hired and the Texans are still not playing good? Deshaun gonna be like, you know what? I was with him, and now I'm still not feeling the team. I want to get traded. So now Deshaun gets traded. Bieniemy's on the Texans. They didn't want Bieniemy in the first place. Bieniemy gets fired. Now he doesn't have a job. So I just don't think he's going to take the job, which will upset Deshaun Watson even more. He's going to be like, hey, listen, I'm never playing for you guys again. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, trade me. You know, the Dolphins, their interest is there a little bit. You know, Tua had a average rookie year. You know, it wasn't as good as Herbert or Burrow. You know, pretty average. I mean, he was good, but the reason the Dolphins were winning games was mostly because of the defense.
That's valid. That's very true.
So if the Dolphins is looking for an upgrade, they could trade Tua for Deshaun Watson, and the Texans are going to want, you know, their pick back, which makes sense. I seen somewhere that said to get Deshaun, teams are going to have to give up 3 first-round picks. The Dolphins probably only need to give up 2. Maybe this year's first rounder and then next year's first rounder. And then Tua. Tua pretty much equals a first rounder. He was a first rounder last year. He pretty much equals a first rounder. But that's just my thoughts.
I dig it. My hot take is that the Texans will actually trade for the second pick and Sam Darnold. You know, I was watching the Get Up today, and they brought up some good points. I mean, while Tua is a very good quarterback, Sam Darnold has been proven. You know, he may have not had the best time in New Jersey, in New York, but on the same hand, I can get a pick up, get the second pick, potentially get Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Sewell, whatever they feel like they need to make Sam have the best experience in Houston he can. They now have that luxury with that pick. With the third pick, like you said, Trey, Tua did not have the best rookie. Well, he didn't have a bad rookie season, but he didn't have one compared to his peers. With Sam Darnold, you have somebody that basically is, in a sense, proven that he can be good. He just needs help. He needs weapons. The Jets don't have it. Houston has the opportunity to give that to him. So, and with that second pick, Devontae Smith is still on the board. You know, so it really works out for Houston at the end of the day. You know, I guess only time will tell.
Only time will tell. All right, guys, that's it for today's show. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune on all social media platforms. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for at Boca Tribune. You can also follow the show on Instagram at _timeout7. Follow me on my personal Twitter at TreyAvant3. Noah.
You can follow me on Instagram at ArcBuilder Noah and on Twitter at WhoBuildsArcs.
Timeout airs every Thursday at 7 p.m. As always, this is the Avant Bros signing off.